Well, GM's announcement to close its Oshawa plant comes during a time of changing consumer trends in the auto industry. Last year, GM restarted a truck assembly line and scaled back car production to address shifting buyer preferences. And in a statement today, GM said they aim to lower carbon emissions as they move towards electric and autonomous vehicles. Joining me now, 680 News, Auto Specialist Tim Dimopoulos. Thanks for coming in, Tim.
Thanks, Brett.
Was this a surprise to the industry that GM was going to shut down operations or close some of these assembly plants?
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, the writing's been on the wall for quite some time, and they offered voluntary buyouts to many of their employees over the last few months. There was no forward-looking production announcements going into 2020 or the end of 2019, and usually these things are announced way in advance. So the writing has been on the wall for quite some time, and there's also been a hiring freeze. So it's not a big surprise.
We heard from the union. We even saw in GM's own announcement that what they pulled back from is very telling about the consumer market. So where does it look like the auto industry is shifting right now?
Well, right now the demand is for SUVs. With the price of gas being what it is, it's still relatively low compared to other jurisdictions. And
they are more fuel efficient.
They are more fuel efficient, especially with new powertrains. A lot of them are running four-cylinder turbos, which are much more fuel efficient than they have been in the past. So an SUV today is almost as efficient as a sedan would have been a couple of years ago. So demand is increasing on the SUV side for their ability to be practical and usable. And that's what consumers want.
3 kids in the back and hockey gear.
Kids in the back and hockey gear, exactly, yeah.
And then the move to trucks as well. Trucks is a big thing in Canada.
Yeah, trucks are a big thing, and so, like you said, so are SUVs. So the bigger the better, it seems, for consumer demands, not only in this country, but also in the United States, where most of the vehicles that are made here are exported to.
And now the move to electric vehicles as well. Ontario, just recently the Ford government announced they were scrapping the incentives, the green incentives. Was that a good move on the government's part, knowing now that GM is and other auto manufacturers are moving towards electric vehicles?
Well, it probably played to a small degree into the decision to shut down Oshawa and not produce those vehicles there. When you think about it, the technology is still relatively new and needs government assistance in the form of incentives to keep it affordable for consumers. Right now, if you want to buy an electric vehicle, it's going to cost you about anywhere between $5,000 to $15,000 more than it would have when the incentives were there. So sales should slow immensely in this province because of that decision. But in other provinces like BC and Quebec, where the incentives are still there, demand is very high, and we're seeing a huge volume in sales. And GM is actually filling the demand in those provinces quite nicely.
Is the auto manufacturing industry in trouble in Canada? Should Canadians worry about that and the impact to the economy?
Yeah, I don't think so. When you really look at Oshawa in particular, I mean, it employed about anywhere between 25 to 2,800 people in manufacturing. You look at other manufacturers like Ford, for instance, it employs 4,600 people in Oakville and they're making high-demand SUVs. Same thing with Toyota. 8,000 people work at Toyota Manufacturing in Cambridge and Woodstock. Honda, 4,600 people. Windsor with Chrysler, you got 6,100 people. So manufacturing from an automotive standpoint is still very much alive and well in this province.
All right, Tim, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Thank you.